Welcome to Hype with Nick and Sam, episode 2. We are super excited to be here. Some might say hype. There's a lot of different words for it.
You could say that.
You could
Yeah.
say hype, though. It's Sam and Nick here, about to get into some Jordan Peele stuff, about to get into some horror stuff, some of our favorite topics. Right off the bat, we found out literally right after recording our last podcast that Chadwick Boseman had passed away, and that
just power, horribly tragic timing.
I mean, man, when they started going through the movies that he had made, I was actually like, he actually had some really, like, outside of Black Panther, like some awesome stuff. Like, he portrayed James Brown and Jackie Robinson in biopics.
That's right. Yeah. And incredible. Yeah. And like literally as we were editing our podcast for last week, like we got the news and we were like, well, we definitely would have shouted him out, but know, we're definitely want to, pay our respects here now that, now that we're here and the tragedy happened, and it's awful.
And shouts to our boy from the last episode, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, fucking found out. Yeah, like I a couple days ago, I was watching the Today Show as I usually do in my single apartment.
Wow, you're the most like almost 30 person I know watching the Today Show.
In my robe, drinking my coffee, I see Robert Pattinson has COVID, and they're shutting down production on Batman for a while. So we're like, well, shit. If we just had a couple of very relevant things, and that just happened, in accordance to our podcast, and the Robert Pattinson thing, we literally just talked about him and got hyped as hell about Robert Pattinson and Batman, and even did some awesome Batman impersonations, and now this. So
coronavirus. Fuck coronavirus.
Fuck coronavirus. I'm fucking Pattinson.
I'm Pattinson.
He's not even Boston. Like, I don't know. Why is he out?
I guess we should be doing an English accent, but I don't want to.
We should be. I don't. It would just sound bad.
Right. I might honestly need to watch the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy just to get like my Batman fix in. After seeing that trailer, like I need that darkness. Like that dark.
That's actually a great idea on a rainy ass day like today. It would be awesome to binge those. But
so let's get into our guy.
Yeah, Peele, baby.
Yeah, let's get into our guy. I'm not sure how I feel about the wording there.
Yeah,
might cut that out. Might leave it in.
But yeah, I mean,
more sexual as I
Jordan Peele. Exactly, bro. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, we've been hyped on Jordan Peele for a while, and we loved his Key and Peele and all that and stuff. But I mean, when we heard that he was putting out horror movies, being horror guys, we're like, for some reason, it just kind of made sense. I don't know
when like Get Out, the trailer came out. I believe we were at another movie. I don't know which one when we saw the trailer.
Yes,
we were like,
exactly.
Say written and directed by Jordan Peele, like the guy from Key and Peele.
I don't know what that is. I feel like that's like some sort of like effect there, because just hearing that a non-horror guy is producing a really good what seems to be a really good horror movie, ties back to Danny McBride. Like, when I heard he wrote the new Halloween movie, I was like, what? That's awesome. Like, I don't know why that got me more excited for it.
Well,
but I mean, I guess just because the fact that we love those people already, and the fact that they're horror geeks,
right?
Clearly.
And they get their inspiration from that 80s era where horror movies were funny. If you were like, you have to have a dark sense of humor, but like they had like comedic elements in them, like throughout, like Friday the 13th, no, not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, dude. I mean,
Oh,
Freddy clowns
yeah,
around the entire time, and yes, he says like some
the
super
entire
bad,
movie.
but like he's pretty
Yeah.
much it's all jokes. Like there was like this horror comedy era, and that kind of
Yep.
ended. I would say like in the early 2000s and stuff when horror movies started taking
Yep.
themselves like super seriously. And
Yes, exactly. Like, see, personally, I have a guilty pleasure for early 2000s movies because they are trash, but I love how they just try and go like beyond with like the story and like all the characters and everything. Like prime example is like, the Ring,
oh,
like
the Ring is
that.
good.
Like
The Ring is the first one's
it
good.
is good. It is good, but like, movies like that where there's just so many like setting changes and just they try and make it this epic journey, and it's just like, a whatever horror movie. But I have like I know what you did last summer is my guilty pleasure movie of all
Oh,
time.
gross.
Not to get off not to get off track, but guilty pleasure movie. We'll watch that movie anytime, any day. But yeah, getting a little off topic there.
Well, it kind of it
So
gets us into, I mean, us, which is pretty funny to be
well,
honest.
first we do I do kind of want to just touch on some stuff that I recently found out, like, within the
Absolutely.
past 24 hours about Jordan Peele, that kind of really got me excited about this podcast. So so recently, so he got his start actually in Second City in Chicago, which is pretty awesome because
Shout out.
I've actually lived like right there. Um, but yeah, pretty awesome, and got his start there. Went to Mad TV, and then after that started Key and Peele, and I thought that was pretty cool because we loved Key and Peele. Thought it was super funny. I always loved it, but I never really he never really talked too much about his love for horror or anything. But then just this morning, I before my power went out, I watched like this, like, like the second highest rated episode of Key and Peele, and it was the Michael Jackson Halloween episode, and it was basically just parodying horror movies the entire episode. And he talks about his love for horror and how his favorite movies are possession movies. And there's like the skit with the racist zombies who won't eat black people, and that whole thing. And I just thought, seeing that and like hearing him talk about his love of horror, like I was like, okay, so like even before the Get Out stuff was even a thing, like he's been a horror guy, like that's been his thing. And I didn't even realize that he has all these awards. I mean, he won best picture, I think best director or something for Get Out.
I believe so.
And then one best picture, and or I'm sorry, he won an Academy Award for producing Spike Lee's Black Klansman. But yeah, I just thought, I mean, he's done so much that since Get Out, it's been kind of like, okay, Peele's this funny horror guy, because he remade the Twilight Zone
Right.
series,
Right.
which in my opinion kind of flopped. But the fact that he like narrated it, did it all, and like paid homage to all the OG episodes, because I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan. Like I was actually just watching I watched it's called Terror at 10,000 Feet, I believe. One
Yes,
of one of
which
my
I've
absolute
heard about personally
favorites.
about 18 times.
Yeah, I forget the actor's name, and it is very very famous actor from the time. But yeah, just I'm a huge fan of that. So knowing him trying to tie back into that was pretty cool for me. So but yeah, I mean that's really, I mean, he just I just thought that some of that background was pretty cool to kind of find out, because I didn't even know he did like he did voice acting in like
Right.
for Captain Underpants, Toy Story 4. I mean, like, but yeah, I mean, he's been in it. He's been loving the horror genre, and it's clearly he's been wanting to get into it for a while now. And you know what? He's in it.
That's what I really like about the whole like come up story of him is that like even when you think like someone like he was pretty Key and Peele's pretty known, is pretty famous, and like that
Right.
wasn't even his main goal. Like clearly he wanted to use that as a means to this like get himself into a position where he can write and produce and direct his own stuff now, and he can literally do whatever he wants because he came out with
Anything.
it out, and now people are just like, okay, we trust you.
We get this guy. Yeah. Yeah. Like you're gonna everything you put out, like it's gonna be good at this point, because he's set the bar high with Get Out. Which, do we want to get into Get Out first or Us first?
I think
Here.
Well, we're on Get Out.
Because I mean,
because go with it.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, it's it was his first horror debut, and obviously, everyone loved it. I mean, I've talked to I don't think I've heard of one person who was not all stoked about seeing it. Like they were,
Pretty sure
they
it was
absolutely loved
100% on Rotten Tomatoes for like
for
a while.
For like a while, it was at like a 100%. I think, yeah. Which for as big horror fans, and if other horror fans out there know, and if you check Rotten Tomatoes, horror movies, like a good horror movie score is like a 55. Like that's like a pretty good critic score for a horror movie. They get trash.
We'll watch a
exactly
17% though. I don't care.
Right, exactly. Because like a 17% almost equates to like a 50% of like a non-horror movie. So it's like it's still enjoyable.
Although it will be terrible.
Watch them all.
But Get Out. So when I just watched it again. So what I realized is that like it makes like so the entire time you're on the edge of your seat, it makes non-scary parts, like when he's going up to the deer, right after they hit it,
right,
and like the deer hitting the car, obviously huge jump scare. I mean, because you're just like, what's gonna happen? And he goes up to the deer, and like the music and everything just makes you think that like is he gonna get like shot by a hunter or something? Like what's about to happen?
Side note, there Peele actually did voice acting twice in Get Out, and one of those times was he did what the TSA guy, what's his name, Rod, I believe, is watching TV. He's watching some like random commercials playing, and he's doing the voice for that. But he also does the voice for the dying deer sound in the beginning there, which I thought was pretty freaking hilarious. So I'm gonna put myself in this movie, but I'm gonna be the dying deer.
And honestly, he did a damn good job, because I rewound it after you told me that, and I was like, that sounds like an animal.
Sounds like a deer.
Yeah.
But no.
Like what is?
But yeah, no, you're totally right. Like that, like from that moment on, like you were on the edge of your seat. Like even when you kind of start figuring out like what's kind of maybe going on, like you still don't know what's going on, and you still, because like you still have that feeling that like you're like, this movie's too good for me to know what's gonna happen. Like I'm wrong. So you know what I mean? So I'm in suspense to see what actually is about to happen.
I feel like it also gives a little bit of an impression on like what it would be like to, like, from a white guy's perspective, like what would it be like to be a black person, like in an all white, like that, like just uncomfortableness of like all these people like coming up and talking to you, even though they're complimenting him, like they're like, it's still like he's like,
which you find later is are compliments that are really kind of just complimenting his whatever, his like, oh, like blacks in these days or whatever,
Dude, they are I like, oh my god, the mythology like behind like that whole thing, like they've been doing this for like a while, which is you go through the pictures, like, you're going through the pictures later, and you just see like all the people this chick has brought back, and you're just like, yo, fuck you.
Everyone out there, you've all seen Get Out. You don't need to like go over like the whole plot, but I mean, like
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
yeah, right. Spoiler alert. But
The white people are the bad guys.
Right. And
didn't see that coming.
That's it. Yep, didn't never see it coming.
It's a huge twist.
But Shyamalan twists,
right?
Twist all over the place. But I mean, yeah, it's just that movie itself, just like the shots, just like the dream sequences of him going into the sunken place, and just the whole like idea is so original. Like it's so original, and just
the imagery of the sunken place and like what it would be like to be hypnoptized,
right? Like
controlled.
You think about it, and you put yourself in there, and you're like, I'm like, I feel suffocated. Like I was rewatching because I bought I bought Get Out on Amazon Prime with the alternate ending, which I will talk about, and I'll give a little spoiler, alert there in case anyone hasn't seen the alternate ending, because
just make sure you say very different before you do it.
Yeah,
that's the alert
throughout the entire movie. But see, the cool thing about Get Out is, everyone's seen it, but a lot of people haven't seen it twice. And I, watching interviews and stuff like that with Peele, he always recommends, he's like, watch it again. He's like, you will pick up on so much shit. And he said, watch it from Rose, the girlfriend's like, watch her the whole time, because everything she does is nefarious. I mean, like, even from like the opening scene you were talking about, when they hit the deer, and they get pulled over, and the cop asks to see his ID, and it kind of seems cool that she's like sticking up for him. She's like, like, why, like, he wasn't driving, like, why you need to see his ID? But then when you rewatch it, knowing what he's there for, you're like, oh, she's just trying to cover up a paper trail, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
that
she doesn't want his name out there.
Exactly. And that, I mean, and that movie too also has some pretty cool little Easter eggs. Again, showing nods to horror fans. Showing Peele's love for horror. There's a scene where he's talking to Rod, the TSA guy, on the phone, and he's at the airport, and in the background you can hear it's flight 217. I should know this as the horror guy I am. There's room 217 and 237, but I think it's room 217 that you hear, like, flight 217 boarding now, and it's like, I watched it again. I was like, oh shit, that's the haunted room from the Shining, I think. Cool shit like.
He loves the shout outs.
Yeah,
and I would say in Us than in Get Out when it comes to pop culture influences.
Right, but before we do hop into Us, I do want to talk about the alternate ending, because especially in today's climate, with all the racial injustice going on right now, it's definitely something that I want to touch on. So normally the movie ends, as he's choking out Rose, but he can't kill her. And as he's still on top of her, holding her neck, a cop car pulls up, and she's like, help me, please. And you realize it's Rod, TSA guy, instead. And and like, literally, it ends on a joke. It ends on them like riding in the car for 10 seconds, and then him being like, I told you I shouldn't have gone up in the house, right? Like, it's like, and then it just ends.
Which allows you to leave the theater feeling, somewhat good.
Exactly.
Exactly. Rose won,
And this is back in 2017, when racial injustice has been going on forever. But I mean, like, after 2017, it's gotten obviously a lot worse. So the fact that he cut out this alternate ending, which I'm about to talk about. So, I mean, back then, it was a good call. Because so spoiler, if you do want to see the alternate ending, so instead the movie ends with him choking her out, can't kill her, and he's on top of her. Police car pulls up, and it's actually the fucking cops, and she's still alive, and he basically gets blamed for everything.
Yeah, I mean, the murder of like
literally
family.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it cuts the end, and then so it ends with him getting it, so he gets arrested, and then it cuts to him walking up to the the phone booth things they have at jails, in
Right.
his jumpsuit and whatnot, sits down, talks to Rod, and I don't remember the exact nature of the conversation, but it's kind of just like, Chris, the main character, his kind of final ending thing is just kind of like, it is what it is kind of thing, and then walks away, and then it ends. Like, like that's, I mean, imagine leaving the theater after that ending.
Yo, it would like just bring you so far down. I mean, that is just
it's a different ending, bro.
it's
I
haunting.
mean,
It's bad. It's really bad because there's been situations, I mean, throughout history where that exact thing has actually happened, which makes
exactly like the fact that he was like, I'm gonna cut this out. Honestly, he made a good call in cutting it out, to be honest, because I mean, just for general viewers, I mean, yeah, that would have been a dope, like, message, like at the end of the movie, and like that would have been awesome. But like for casual, like, horror movie viewers who don't know exactly what Get Out is all about, like, I think he made the right call.
well, in every
But
horror movie, there's always the person that you're like rooting for the most. I mean, in this one, there's only one. He's the main guy, but like the term is like the final girl or like something like that. And so I personally, I always love the horror movies where that person lives, or like, you see a bunch of people die, you learn to hate the bad guy, and then the main
right,
person like fucks the bad guy up. That's
exactly.
it's
and
that
like this one's the opposite. But the good guy, he gets fucked up and he loses, and he is in jail for life, basically. Like, oh, but yeah. So I mean, again, Get Out. If you haven't seen it, you just got it all spoiled, and you should still go and fucking watch it because you're a crazy person for having not seen it by now.
Yeah, if we get any
But
comments saying like, "Yo, you just ruined Get Out for me," I'm gonna be like, what have you been doing?"
yeah, it was like I didn't see Avengers Infinity War, or that was Infinity War for
You
like
didn't see
the
Endgame,
longest
dude. You
time.
didn't see Endgame forever.
Well, no, Infinity War was even longer, and that's the one everyone was getting like super hype about, and like everyone was like getting so hyped. I'm like everyone like in my work office was like, talking about having gone seeing it, and I didn't see it for like a while, and eventually I was like I kind of like months had gone by, and I kind of saw some spoilers on who kind of got whatever the word was, not killed in the end, but snapped.
Marvel movies are at a point where you
But
see them in the
I
first
got those
weekend.
kind of spoiled for me. But I was like, I had the attitude where I'm like, well, I know Spider-Man gets snapped in that, but it's been fucking months. Everyone else
Heartbreaking
has seen
scene.
it. I'm like, it's only me to blame. But enough of
Well,
enough of our Marvel love. If you want to start hopping into Us, because I just
actually,
rewatched that.
it's a perfect segue because Lupita and the guy that plays the dad in Us, Winston Duke, are both in Black Panther as like his buddies. I know Winston
Correct.
Duke plays like a
Correct.
war chief, and he's in like the war at the end and everything, and it's awesome. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Us is honestly, I would consider it's way more of a comedy ride with some heavier
But
message
it's
tones.
it's way more like horror-y. Like it's way more scary than Get Out.
Right, right. I will.
It's way
My favorite part
scarier.
is the I got five on it, like horror remix, sort
Oh,
of. It is like
amazing.
constantly playing in the background, and it's so good. It's so good. It adds like this, like hip hop element to like a horror
Yeah.
vibe. Oh man,
Yep.
it's
He did
so
great. I mean, again, he did great again. Like he's 2 for 2 on those. Like, like that's, I mean, on his like, see, that's also something cool about it too. It's like he's new, and he's proven himself to be already one of those directors who they don't put out a lot, but everything they put out is good. You know what I
seriously.
mean? So
And
like,
everyone
yeah, I
says
mean,
that working with him is just like awesome. He's very good at portraying his image and
exactly. And
letting the
I
actors know,
mean,
but also
the
giving
first
them
time,
room.
sorry, I needed to cut you
You're
off
good.
there.
You're good. Go for it.
But I mean, I was just gonna say, I mean, so going back, because I mean, the first time I saw Us in theaters, I remember loving it. I remember loving it. I know the critic receptions and stuff were not as good, and I was hearing
Those
people who
sticky
did
shows.
who I was hearing from people who didn't like it. So it was kind of dissuading me. I had been wanting to rewatch it ever since it got released, on digital. I've been wanting to rewatch it for a while, but I just had I just I was like, I know I love that movie, but I don't know, so like, Invisible Man, all that stuff was coming, was like, on streaming, and like, just that was way more recent. That's a bad example, but other things that I wanted to watch. And finally, rewatched it last week, and I was like, well, this movie is awesome. I
It's
mean, there
so
is
good. It's so good. It's got like I love
the
that
the
each
the
person
opening.
like
I
fights
I I
themselves.
love I love the opening sequence, like the opening part where they're at. It's like, back in like whatever 80, 80
85.
something, 85, and they're at the carnival, or the boardwalk, or whatever. Like that scene of like her walking through the mirror maze and stuff is just, I mean, it looks awesome.
I
I
will
mean, it
say
looks so cool.
it was pretty great watching it with my girlfriend because she's not a person that's used to horror stuff. And like right off the bat,
Sure.
she saw this little girl going into this house, and she was like, "Sam, come on, like, is she gonna die? Like, I don't want to watch this movie if
Are
she's
they
gonna
gonna
die."
kill a kid in the first like 5 minutes?
Right? I was like, no, just come on, keep watching. She was mad at me later though, but
Yeah.
the yeah, I love the Hall of Mirrors. I love the little pop out of the owl that got me in theaters big time.
Yeah, dude.
And
Yeah, there was, again. This movie was scarier in a sense, in like a suspense, when like, when the doppelgangers are attacking sense, from a violence stance. I mean, it's way more horror. Because Get Out is horror. I mean, it's just way more like, that kind of, not even slasher. It's just more,
no, it's
it's
more
more violent. It's
psychological.
scarier. It's
Get Out,
scarier.
Get Out is more psychological. I think that Us has
Sure.
meant like a lot more action sequences.
Exactly, bro.
You
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
them fighting each other. I love when the dad Winston Duke fights himself on the boat.
Oh,
The whole boat
I
part
I
was
love
so
how I love how the dad doppelganger just like grunts too. Like, it's
yeah.
just everything about it just makes it so awesome. Yeah, dude. Like that again. If you haven't seen it, incredible movie. But I mean, there's just so much you can talk about in that movie. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the really cool like times. Okay, so there was one that I didn't pick up on, but just a lot of like, he puts a lot of hints throughout the movie about, like, leading up to what the final, plot is,
Right.
the what, but there's apparently a scene. Well, the first one is, when they're in the car in the very beginning, they're driving to their beach house or whatever, and I believe it's I Got Five on It is playing. Lupita turns around and tries to get her son to tap on beat. But I was like, I remember in theaters being like, she's not tapping on beat.
No,
And
yeah.
I really, the next time I watched it, I really caught it. I was like, okay, she's definitely not tapping on beat.
See,
And
I'm so bad at rhythm that I literally second guessed myself. I was like, maybe I'm
yeah,
wrong.
like
Like,
like she's definitely clapping off beat, and that kind of, it gets explained later. The theory on that is the one in the tunnels is clapping to the actual song, because you find out that that's not the real her in the car. So it's the one downstairs
spoiler
actually
alerts for
clapping
us.
on. spoilers. I mean, yeah, I mean, see the movie. I mean, watch fucking Us. I mean, again, 20 fucking when this movie came out like two years ago. See it.
Has it been? Yeah, see it. Definitely see it. Still, even
Like
knowing that, see
like
it.
this is hype podcast, guys. Like you guys should go into them expecting some possible spoilers if you haven't seen the things that we're talking about, because that's because the things that we want to get hype on are like these kind of things, like these plot theory things and whatnot. But
Dude, the
there was
scariest
also
doppelganger.
one other one that they put in where I didn't catch it at all, but I read about it. When they're on the beach, there's a frisbee scene where someone's throwing a frisbee and it lands on, I believe it lands on, it's a blue frisbee that lands on a red dot, or maybe
Yeah.
the opposite.
No, you're right.
Yeah. And that's kind of, the symbolic of, them, the tethered getting ready to uprise type thing. Pretty cool thing there. And just, yeah, I mean, there's just so many cool, once the doppelgangers enter the mix, like, with like the sun, being like, there's people outside, but it's us, like that's when, I got, that's when the horror pops off, and that's when that movie gets awesome.
It does. He says, there's a family outside. There's a family on our driveway. And it's like, it sends a chill right up your spine. Anytime a little kid says anything like that in a horror movie.
Exactly.
And that's actually he got inspired from Poltergeist. Like they're here. That's exactly.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Okay, nice.
Yeah. Which is, I thought, was pretty cool. And we were talking about Easter eggs earlier. I mean, this movie has, so the kid's wearing a Jaws shirt. We've got a Thriller shirt. The whole movie is basically, like, a lot of it's inspired by Michael Jackson, like his Thriller red
suit. Hands Across America thing, big thing.
Which, by the way, I do not understand how that would help hunger. There's a bunch of people linking hands across the world. That was like a movies where like they're kind of.
It was the 80s, man.
They're like
we didn't get a lot of things.
We're not going to give you food, but we support you. Just as easily give you a can of beans, but I'm just going to hold your hand instead. Is that okay?
And be really tired because I'm stretching it across America for fucking hours. It's gonna be sick. Do it, guys. But there's also the other East kind of thing was there was comparison. There was the rabbits.
Right.
The rabbits, which I'm trying to remember, because back in the day, the U.S. used them for cloning experiments, like whatever. So that's kind of like why the significance of the rabbits downstairs, which could mean that they were testing it down in the tunnels, etc. But it also seems that they've just been using them as a source of food for the tethered down, or the tethered have been using them as a source of food. But
we ate them
thought that was interesting.
And it's like,
right, yeah. And
dude, this is Lupita's only horror role, and she herself is not even that big into horror, and she just kills it. Like
kills
the acting. Like when she
does that fucking voice, dude. Oh my god, I was just like, that is awesome.
Some people didn't like that. They thought that part was.
I know,
and I thought that was sick.
My dad thought it was stupid. I was like, dude, that is so cool. Like that's literally her voice because she fucking hasn't been what? Like that's awesome.
Like she's the only one that can speak because she's not a tethered. She is,
and she can barely.
Because Lupita, the supposedly good guy, chokes the absolute shit out of her when she's like a kid and handcuffs her.
That's right. I forget. That's why she talks like that. Yeah. I forget that. Okay.
Also, I did read that it might also be because she hasn't spoken in so long. Because
that's what I thought it was. That's what I when I first saw it and read the movie explained, as I always do after I watch movies, just to make sure I caught everything. That's what it said originally. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then the one last thing we want to touch on us before we dive into Lovecraft, because got a lot to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also one other thing. There's like a theory about the son. Now, in the end of the movie, the mom, who you know now is not the real mom. It's Rhett or
Well, she is their mom, but she's tethered.
Right. Yeah. She's the original mom from the beginning of the movie, who's actually untethered.
Right.
She looks back at her son and smiles, and her son just kind of gives her like a weird look, and then the movie just kind of ends. People have been kind of talking about how like maybe possibly the son could have been tethered at some point, because like they mentioned they hadn't been back to the house since there was like an incident in the closet or something.
The grandma died.
What?
They haven't been back to the house since their grandmother died.
Yeah, the grandma died, and they talk about yes. So like some people were like theorizing that like maybe he got snatched, somehow got swapped, and during that period and came back, and like he got the like. But then there's the whole thing of like the burns on the kid's face because the kid likes fire, but like how the tether don't necessarily sync up exactly with the overworld people. So it's like when he's lighting a lighter, the kid down below is like lighting his face. But
match. Matches.
Somehow. Oh, matches. Sure. Yeah. You're right. But so like I forget what the exact theory was. It's like one made sense to me, and as I was explaining to you on the phone the other day, where it was like he possibly could have gotten swapped before he never had scars on his face before they got swapped that summer. They got swapped, but then and then the lighter thing happened to the real one who was down below,
right?
Later, but it wouldn't explain that how the son can talk.
Well, how I understood it, if you're gonna go that direction, is I feel like maybe the son up top got like burned his fucking face up, and so Lupita was like, I don't want a son with a burned, messed up face, and so she
that's
down there and brought up the other one at a young age. To
most people think that it's the real son. Nothing happened at the end of the movie, but I don't think they would talk about that incident and stuff with the closet and grandma dying and all that. With
that's what like, Peele does. That's what Peele does. Is like, come on,
just give us
all the answers, man. Just give us all the answers.
I know.
Do you do this to us? Like, come on.
I'm sticking to the original, my original, theory there, because even though it's most people don't think that that's what happened. I you know what, I'm going with it.
Hey man, you're entitled to your opinion, and that's
exactly
the beauty of film.
Exactly,
and that's the beauty of film.
That should be like the new closing to our
right. That'll be like
segment,
and then I'll read the credits.
That's the beauty of film. But dude, do you want to get us started off on Lovecraft Country?
Yes, and I'll start off by asking a question. Do you enjoy, and this is to the audience, do you enjoy monsters, racists getting killed, haunted houses, some fantasy elements with wizards and sorcerers, and just hyper violence? Because if so, this is definitely the show for you. It has.
Am I part of the audience? Because
you are.
That sounds like a show for me.
I'm like if anybody advertising agencies are out there, I'm currently available. That's just get me on a commercial. Just saying that.
Yeah.
So this show, man, I'm not very well versed in H.P. Lovecraft. I haven't read any of his stuff. This is making me wonder a little bit. However, knowing
it's super racist.
His writing is bad, like when it comes to the racial elements of it, which
the
show does.
The show is based on a more recent book
Right.
by Matt. It's something simple. Can't remember. Look it up. Lovecraft Country. I think it came out in like 2017 or something. Like
Matt Ruff.
and it's
Matt Ruff.
Thank you.
2016.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
and nice. We're getting most of our facts off the dome mostly right.
Yeah,
Right
we're
here.
doing
Nice.
our best out here.
Yeah, we are. We're trying. But yeah. So the show that book is called Lovecraft Country, and that's what the show is based on.
So what it does is it acknowledges the racial insensitivity and just horribleness of H.P. Lovecraft, but also gives you elements of his stories that you can enjoy in a different setting from the perspective of African Americans in the 1950s. And
Yep.
it's them. You get all the regular stuff from that time period of just them, like sunset towns or sundown towns. I was not aware these existed, but it is literally, if you were black in this time and you went through one of these towns, if you were still in it by sundown, they could legally lynch you, which is just like, holy shit. Are you kidding me? And so you've got like all that sort of stuff to worry about. And then also that everything is haunted and there's monsters and wizards and stuff. It's amazing.
Right.
It's a really, really good show. And the lead actors, Jonathan Myers, Journey Smollett, and Michael K. Williams, they absolutely crush it.
Oh, they're so good. Yeah, Tick is like he is like my new one of my new favorite show characters right now. He's just so badass, and like I couldn't even see, like, this sounds like bad because like he's not like a bad looking dude, but like he's just like, I couldn't see him starring in a lot of stuff, but like this he's like perfect for.
Seriously,
Like,
the thing is, he's just your average soldier dude, like from Korea he was in, and
he's not
really
like a
looking
super
forward to getting more
exactly
backstory on what happened to him there, because from his nightmares and stuff, it seems like he had some messed up shit go down in Korea. And
but basically what the show is kind of is about is it's so it starts off, Tick's father is missing, and he has reason to believe that he is in Massachusetts. What town?
Oh, I don't know.
Shoot. It's like the popular town that everything in H.P. Lovecraft
Jamestown?
shit goes down.
No.
What?
I said Jamestown.
It's something like Amity, but like not. I don't know.
Okay.
But anyways, they have reason to believe that they saw him getting into a car with into a silver car with this chick, and they have reason to believe he's going there. So he's in Chicago, recruits his uncle and one of his like old Letty, like one of his old like childhood friends, and this kind of this she's kind of like there's kind of like the sexual tension sort of thing with them and whatever. They
you're rooting for him.
on the road
for him actively.
What?
You're like, come on guys, hook up.
Right.
Do it.
Right. And we won't spoil stuff for this show, obviously, and for any of the episodes. We'll just kind of touch on stuff, but yeah. So they head off to find his dad, and they run into some troubles along the way, and it's pretty cool too because some troubles is a pretty easy way of putting it, but
we ain't talking flat tires.
We're not talking like I gotta pee,
right?
like we're not talking about that, but it's pretty cool because I mean each episode, there's been 3 episodes so far. It's an HBO show, airs every Sunday, so tonight we can get hype, and you guys can start checking out the first 3 episodes today if you want to catch up for tonight. But basically every episode's kind of different. It really blends. They really do different stuff with the horror and kind of fantastical creature monster thing they blend it with the racial injustice that's going on in the time so well in every episode. There's just a little something about like for everybody. If you enjoy the fantasy horror genre, like every episode, like there is an episode for you so far. Like, if that makes sense.
Like episode 1 is monster and historical fiction. Episode 2, you get some fantasy, like pretty much all fantasy elements. And 3 is basically a haunted house movie.
Exactly. So it's like if you're into all those things, watch obviously watch it. But like if say you're more of a classic horror fan, like episode 3 is gonna satisfy you.
Right.
Sexually.
But I think so.
But yeah, I mean, it's just really, I mean, and again, it's Peele. Peele is he's a producer,
executive producer. The showrunner is Misha Green, and is apparently just so crazy to work with. I don't want to give anything away from episode 3, but there is a part where there's, you know what? No, I don't want to give anything away.
Leave it.
If you haven't seen Lovecraft Country, please watch it. And then,
especially because it drops like the episode 4 drops tonight. Like people might want to listen and catch up. Yeah. So.
Okay. So
again, Lovecraft Country, Jordan Peele. Check out all this stuff. If you haven't, like, look up, watch YouTube videos about it. I mean, he's such an interesting guy. He's amazing. Can't say enough about him. But so next week's episode is a actor again that we are currently
super hyped on.
Always been hyped on him. Like I always thought of him as an amazing actor.
We're talking Wilson. The Conjuring. We're talking The Conjuring 2. Yeah. We're talking Bone Tomahawk, okay? And if you haven't seen Bone Tomahawk, watch it.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah, we'll get into that next week. But yeah, but like, I mean, he's in horror movies, which are really good that we love. I mean, it's just he's in so much stuff, and we've always been big P. Wilsey's fans. So
P. Wilsey, absolutely.
So definitely look forward to next week's, because I mean we're gonna get into it, and there's gonna be a lot of stuff that you'll be surprised to hear that he's been in, and just interesting stuff about him that we happen to know because we're crazy people.
We are crazy people. So follow us on. We're out on Apple Podcasts now. Hype with Nick and Sam. We've got a new YouTube page up and running, where I'm going to put episode 1 refurbished along with this episode. And we are also on Spotify. So give us a follow, subscribe, do whatever you can. I'm on Twitter at SpacemanSam88. If you want to DM us of any recommendations, I've gotten a few recommendations. Somebody wants us to do The Exorcist, which I'm very on board for.
On board for that.
If you've got any ideas like that, definitely DM us. Yeah, this is great. Thanks, Nick. It's great talking to you, as always.
Absolutely, dude.